The Supreme Court not taking Kamala's attacks lying down after the VP dissed the high court and said the decision to overturn Roe has made her worried about their integrity.
I think this is an activist court. We had an established right for almost half a century, which is the right of women to make decisions about their own body as an extension of what we have decided to be the privacy rights to which all people are entitled. And this court took that constitutional right away.
Chief Justice John Roberts bashing Kamala's criticism and defending the Supreme Court's legitimacy.
The court has always decided controversial cases, and that's the role of the Supreme Court. And that role doesn't change simply because people disagree with this opinion or that opinion. Simply because people disagree with an opinion is not a basis for questioning the legitimacy of the court.
All right, so this is obviously, I guess it's referring to abortion, so I'm going to go to the guy first. No, what kind of politician, Jesse, would attack an institution like the Supreme Court? This is a threat to democracy. Is she aware that she's putting their lives in danger?
You know, after someone tried to kill Kavanaugh, she better watch her words.
Exactly.
I'm not usually a word policeman, but they just had a death threat against Cannon, the judge in the special master case. You know, just back off a little bit.
I think A equals B. You say bad things, then people die. It's on her.
I would never say that, but I might. I don't think this is an activist court. If you listen to what Ruth Bader Ginsburg said, the court that decided Roe was an activist court. This court is basically just kind of course correcting here. It's strange that the liberals are so angry because those Supreme Court justices, the three that Trump appointed, those were supposed to be crookeds. That's one of the main reasons why they have so much rage inside them. He was never supposed to get those appointments. And notice the Democrats, anytime they disagree with anything, they attack it as illegitimate. That Trump is an illegitimate president. If you disagree with anything, you're an illegitimate scientist, an illegitimate businessman, illegitimate doctor. The court is now illegitimate. You can't do that. The Democrats are all about defending institutions. Then the next day on Meet the Press, you can't just slander them.
That's true, Judge. I mean, we took a lot of heat for criticizing the FBI. And yet she can just go right after the Supreme Court, which is basically the super concentrated version of the FBI with 90% more FBI-ness.
Well, aside from all that, I won't even address it. But the Supreme Court, where members of the Supreme Court, there were protests in front of their houses for weeks on end, an attempted assassination of a Supreme Court justice, all of that spun off of this ginning up of this hate and anger. This is what the left is trying to do. They're trying to break down the institutions as illegitimate. All of the cornerstones of America, whether it's law and order, whether it's the courts, whether it's the Constitution, all that's illegitimate if they don't like it. And we're going to protest even though there's COVID because we have a right to protest, but you don't. It's really the them versus us. And that's what they're doing. This is like all written out. It's like there's a playbook. You know, president comes out, there's the others. They're not the people that we're on the side of. And if they get a decision they don't like, then as far as they're concerned, the court's an activist court. The court is far from an activist court. It's not an activist court. The court is, as Jesse said, the righting a wrong that Ruth Bader Ginsburg herself, a true feminist, said was not, there was no anchor in the Constitution for this right. But, you know, the most interesting part of all of this is whether or not the leak is something that they're going to investigate and going to decide.
Yes, Jessica, speaking of the leak, I find it interesting. It's such an historic leak, and yet the media has no intention of really looking at it, which makes me think a liberal did it. Was it you? You can confess here.
I wish.
Yes.
Right, no one is watching. So I think people are pretty interested in it. There was a game of misdirection that was going on when the leak happened because Republicans didn't want to talk about the meaning of the decision. They didn't want to talk about the implications because I think Mitch McConnell and smart Republicans knew that this wasn't going to end well for them. I happen to think that it was a conservative that did it to hold Kavanaugh and everyone but essentially Justice Roberts in line to keep those numbers there. To the point about it being an activist court, I think that Justice Roberts, to some degree, actually thinks that it is because he didn't side with everyone else. He thought they were going too far. He only agreed with part of the opinion. And I read this great Washington Post article that basically said, can we just admit that judicial activism means decisions I don't like, and that everyone just throws it around when they get a bad one. But this happens to be a really bad one because it did undo a constitutional right that we've had for over 5 decades. And I know that Ruth Bader Ginsburg didn't like the decision. It was a 7-2 decision with conservatives on there, and it was a privacy decision. So yes, there should have been a codification of Roe on a national level. But this isn't just a liberal problem.
Dana, is it really a constitutional right? Just between you and me. It's a bunch of BS.
No.
Yes.
And the thing is also that the Supreme Court said, Congress, you can pass a law, right? Yeah. But instead of Kamala Harris saying, here's what we're going to do, I'm going to lead the effort, we're going to pass a law that we can make fun of. You can make fun of it if you want, but Lindsey Graham at least introduced a law, and you could pass that and see what happens. And also you could let the states do it, but they're not doing any of that. They're just blaming the courts. Imagine if you're Chuck Todd on Meet the Press, and you're asking a question about this, and then you say, let me just show you a clip. And you showed a video of Schoolhouse Rock, how a bill becomes a law. And it says, actually, Congress can pass a law, and then the court checks it off. They don't ever want to do that. Think about the eviction moratorium. They knew that that was illegal, and they tried to do it anyway. They're doing the same thing on student loans. It's going to happen again. And one thing that I think that all of us will find is that inflation will be the top issue. Abortion will be an issue. And one of the ways it's an issue is that it surged a ton of money, especially small dollars, into Democratic campaigns. And yet still, as I mentioned in the A block, Republicans are still holding strong. They have to deal with the issue. They can't pretend that abortion is not going to be an issue in the campaign. But an activist court is not the problem. The fact that they try to pass a law, and then you won't have to deal with all of this.
Yes. I stopped listening after you said, imagine you're Chuck Todd.
Yeah, imagine I was Chuck Todd?
You said, imagine you're Chuck Todd. And I started to get very nauseous and sad.
No. That'd be great. Then you could think of all the questions you could ask people who would be willing to come on your show.
Don't ask the questions you don't ask.
Think about all that Rogaine I got to get. Up next, liberal workers at the New York Times kicking and screaming over a possible return to the office.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.